Welcome to San Francisco. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here on our Treasure Island, and I want to say thank you to the Treasure Island Authority, to all of our elected officials that are here. We got our Chamber of Commerce, we got our developers. You can see in the background, 5 Points, Lennar, Chamber, PG&E. Everybody's here today because we're so proud to host everyone on this historic occasion, the 10th anniversary of the state's cap and trade bill. It was signed into law right here on Treasure Island. And I want to say again, thank you, Governor Jerry Brown, for your tremendous leadership that you've shown on the state's environmental issues. I also want to thank Governor Schwarzenegger for signing California's original cap and trade bill in 2006 right here. And of course, our State Senate President Pro Tem, Kevin DeLeon, thank you for your leadership, all this whole process. Kevin, and I know you love our city, and you love the state, and of course, the man who had to fly all the way from Palm City, Southern California this morning, got here in time. Assemblyman Garcia, thank you for taking the lead to ensure the critical programs and benefits come to our state. Everyone, California is truly a national and international model for sustainable energy policies and responsible environmental stewardship. Here on Treasure Island, we know firsthand how fragile our environment can be. And as an island that sits on a landfill, Governor, it is particularly prone to the dangers of sea level rise brought on by global warming and climate change. And it serves as a reminder that climate change does have real life impacts, which makes it fitting that we are here once again to sign this historic legislation extending the state's cap and trade bill until 2030. There are other reasons why it's so appropriate for Treasure Island to be the host for today's event. We're working on an 8,000 unit development project right here that will have 25% affordable housing and feature climate-friendly transportation policies right on this island. Those are the very type of programs that will be funded by revenue generated from the state's cap and trade program. And each household will be awarded transit passes. Pedestrian and bike travel will be prioritized, creating a sustainable transportation network on this island. And we'll be building our development project to be seismically sound and raising it several feet to account for sea level rise. We're extremely excited by the future of Treasure Island because we know that a strong economy and responsible environmental policies are not mutually exclusive outcomes. Since 1990, San Francisco has reduced greenhouse gas emissions by 28%. Even while our city's population has increased by 19% and our economy is increased by nearly 80%. And we accomplished our goal 2 years ahead of schedule. We're not done either, because this city and this state takes environmental responsibilities seriously. So when the federal government refuses to do its part to stem harmful emissions or develop sustainable energy policies, California, with all of our leaders here, will put the future of our residents above partisan politics. And again, I want to thank Governor Brown, Governor Schwarzenegger, President Pro Tem DeLeon, and Assembly Garcia for being here today in this historic signing. San Francisco and cities across California stand united with you in this fight. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome to this podium the leader that has been really guiding this effort on the Assembly side, and that's, of course, Assemblyman Eduardo Garcia. Thank you, Assemblyman.
Thank you, Mayor. The Mayor reminds me that this is Treasure Island, not Fantasy Island. So let me begin by thanking the Mayor for his hospitality here in the beautiful city of San Francisco. It is great to share the stage with former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger and, of course, our own Governor, Jerry Brown, President Pro Tem De Leon. Thank you for your leadership and the opportunity to work with you all. But before I get into my comments, I would like to acknowledge my colleagues from the California State Assembly who are here with us, and I'll ask if they'll please rise and help me thank them for their work on this very historic and important piece of legislation, particularly three individuals who are here, Ms. Aguiar Curry, Ms. Autumn Burke, and Mr. Tim Grayson, who were extremely important in working collaboratively for us to get to this point. Look, I flew in from Palm Springs, California, a place that is a little warmer than it is here today, but it's a reminder of the significance of the policy that we're working on. It's 120 degrees out where we're coming from. And although there is a body of water, not much different than the one that stands behind us, there's a very different, unique situation happening out there. The Salton Sea continues to shrink. It continues to have air quality impacts on the people who live in and around the area of the sea. And 7 out of 10 kids continue to suffer from respiratory disease problems. But we also see a unique opportunity in the green energy economy and through our climate change policies continuing to take a different turn for greater opportunities in that region. And so that's what brings me to this forefront of the issue of climate change and ensuring that air quality is at the center of our climate change policies here in California. Last year in Los Angeles, when signing SB 32 and AB 197, I talked about the governor's commitment and a turning point for climate change policies to be inclusive, equitable, and bringing everyone along in California. And I think that the package of legislation that was approved this year is reflective of that. And I think that's why it received the bipartisan support that it did. Now, I'll take a couple of talking points from our Republican leader, Chad Mayes. He said we were able to reduce taxes. We were able to do away with redundant regulation, and we were able to keep in mind the importance of our economy without jeopardizing the integrity of our environmental policies in California. That was the outcome of this bipartisan effort. It's great to be here. It's an honor to be able to share the space. And again, I want to acknowledge the work of my colleagues in the State Assembly for their hard work in helping us get to this point. With that, I have the honor of introducing, one of the buffest governors that California has ever seen, one of the funniest actors that California has ever seen, and also an immigrant who believes in climate change and who believes in inclusive policies for all Californians. That is Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for this nice introduction. And I want to say thank you to Governor Jerry Brown for inviting me here to this very important ceremony and to extend AB 32 to 2030. This is the day, a wonderful sunny day, but I think that it's not only the sun that is shining. The state of California today is shining. Because this is a very important message, I think, not only for this state, but for the country and for the whole world. It's a message that we have a functional government here in California, where Democrats and Republicans work together. And I think this is a very important message for Washington, where both of the parties cannot work together. So I hope to learn something from this, because all great things happen when both parties work together and when the governor is there and has the talent. And I just want to say this would not have happened without Governor Jerry Brown, because he is a skilled politician. He is a great leader. He's a man that is determined, that has great vision. He's a man that was able to bring both of the parties together, and he was able to be inclusive and to make everyone be part of this whole thing. And this is how it happened. So I want to say congratulations, Governor, for your great, great leadership and what you have accomplished here. I mean, you had 8 Republicans voting for this. I wish that in 2006 I would have had 8 Republicans. I had 1. I had one. But this is how times have changed, and I think that he did a fantastic job. So I also want to say thank you very much to the legislators for doing such an extraordinary job. And for both of the parties, Democrats and Republicans, to be able to move a little bit from the extreme right and extreme left closer together, enough so that they can compromise and have a great, great bill. So I want to thank you all. I want to thank my Republican colleagues that have voted for this. They've shown great, great leadership. Now, this is very important because it is not important just for the state of California, but it shows to the rest of the country how strong subnational governments are, cities and states, how we do not have to wait for Washington to create action. We can do it on our own. It shows great leadership. We're going to inspire other states and other cities to do the same thing. And it shows also to the rest of the world that America did not drop out of the Paris Agreement. America is fully in the Paris Agreement. The states and the cities in America, the private sector, the academic sector, the scientists, everyone is still in a Paris Agreement. There's only one man that dropped out. But America did not drop out. And it's also very important because I know that the Republicans have heard so many times from their party officials, don't vote for this because this is the worst thing for the economy and we're going to lose jobs. Well, we have heard that same song and dance in 2006. But since then we have proven that when AB 32 kicked in 2012, between 2012 and 2016, we have created 17% of the jobs in the United States, even though California only represents 12% of the United States. And California has contributed 25% to the economic growth of the United States, even though we only represent 12% of the United States. So we are the economic engine. Isn't it interesting that we are number one in our economic growth? We are the 6th largest economy in the world. We're creating jobs every day. Don't those conservative Republicans get the message? And can't they just think about it for a second and say, maybe we should stop lying to the people. Stop lying to the people. Stop it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am so proud of California. I am so proud the way the political system here works and how well everyone is working together. So I just want to say thank you very much again for having me up here. And now next I'm going to introduce a great leader, my friend Kevin De Leon, Senator Pro Tem, who has worked very hard on this legislation, who talked to me already 3 years ago about that we have to extend what you have done, Governor. Yours goes to 2020. By 2020, we will have the reduction of 25% of greenhouse gases. And we would have accomplished all our goals through cap and trade. But he has worked on it with the governor, and now here is today. So let's welcome this great, great leader and great friend of mine, Senator Kevin De Leon.
Thank you so very much for being here today on this very historic occasion. Governor Schwarzenegger, Arnold, I want to thank you very much for setting California on this road a decade ago. It was through your leadership and our good mutual friend, then Speaker Fabian Nunez, who sent a message throughout the world that California, in fact, will lead. So I want to thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for your incredible leadership. Let's get up for Arnold Schwarzenegger, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. To Governor Jerry Brown, I want to thank you very much for forcefully keeping us on course so we can show the world that California will lead on climate and clean energy where Washington, D.C. will not. I spent a lot of time with our governor, hours on the phone and in person throughout weekends as well on July 4th. And I can tell you, each and every one of you, it was through his sheer tenacity, his willpower, that we're here today. Let's get up for our great Governor, Jerry Brown. Want to recognize my very good friend, Eduardo Garcia, for this incredible leadership. Let's get up for Eduardo Garcia. Our great mayor of San Francisco, Eduardo Lee. Let's get up for Edward Lee. And of course, to the great assembly members and great senators here, starting with Senator Jerry Hill. Senator Jerry Hill. Senator Bill Dodd. Senator Ricardo Lara. And a friend of ours who couldn't be here today, but he was there with me in the negotiations, and that is our Speaker, Anthony Rendon. Let's get it for Speaker Anthony Rendon. Now, this is a pivotal moment, but let's be clear. The largest state in the Union, the sixth largest economy in the world, just redoubled its commitment to climate. The extension of our climate targets in SB 32 and of cap and trade today in AB 398, along with the markers we set with Senate Bill 350 and the ones we will set with Senate Bill 100 to accelerate our clean energy generation. All of this together will move California into a future we know we have to create for our children and their children. It will be challenging, no doubt, a transition to wean ourselves off traditional fuels, but it is one that we as a human race intricately know we have to make. By moving forward boldly like we are today, we prove once again why California has a reputation for being on the cutting edge. We stand in the middle of the San Francisco Bay, a city known throughout the world as a cradle for innovation. And today we are saying that California plans to keep it that way. We will be a global capital for innovation in technology and clean energy. We will remain a state that believes in science and believes that climate change is real. We see it as a challenge as we transform this into a real economic opportunity. We have spurred new industries, created real jobs for the middle class, and most importantly, cleaned up the air we breathe in cities across the state. And we are, my friends, moving forward. Californians overwhelmingly support our efforts to tackle climate change. They know now it's an urgent threat, and they want us to continue to lead. And our state's leaders recognizes the responsibility to the people it represents. Democrats and Republicans know we have to work together to get big things done for the people that elected us. We negotiate, we legislate, we govern like adults across party lines and move a real agenda together that will advance this great golden state of ours. It is truly unfortunate our colleagues in Washington, D.C. can't seem to figure out how to do the same for our country. In fact, today, it is pure recklessness on display in our nation's capital. But as the New York Times said yesterday, California is ready to take the lead until there's more responsible adults in the White House. We got this done after very long, arduous, and painstaking negotiations. Now, it's far from perfect. There's no doubt about that. But a two-thirds measure, by design, requires compromise. This was a commitment made by an entire spectrum of interests, environmental concerns as well as industrial concerns. And miraculously, we came up with a miracle. Because all parties shared a commitment and understanding that we can, in fact, reduce carbon emissions, clean up our air, and also foster a growing economy. This is an example for the entire nation and the entire world of how you successfully govern. And as I said last week, legislative unicorns do exist. There was almost a mythical nature in how this thing came together. The rarity of different industries, environmental groups, political parties coming together to find a solution. But I read this week that unicorns also symbolize the opening to infinite possibilities. Beguiling in their beauty, they give us the power to believe anything is possible. Well, this unicorn is making us see the possibility of California's clean energy future. And more than ever, I think it's vital that California remains a beacon of hope and opportunity in a very uncertain world, and that one single election won't reverse generations of progress at the height of our historic diversity, our scientific advancement, our economic output, as well as our sense of global responsibility. We did this together, and we will keep moving forward together, making history until every single Californian can breathe clean air, drink clean water, power their homes, their businesses, or their car with clean energy, until the California example becomes a golden standard for the entire world. Thank you very much, everybody. Now it's my pleasure to bring a force of nature, because he was the one individual who kept us on the straight and narrow as we negotiated a very complex plan. He's an inspiration for many governors throughout the country. In fact, I would say, quite frankly, he's an inspiration for the current occupant of the White House today, of how to govern, how do you measure and quantify progress, how you get things done. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring up to the stage our governor, the governor of the great state of California, Governor Jerry Brown.
Thank you. Thanks. Appreciate it. Glad you're all here. This is a very significant event. I want to thank the people behind me, Governor Schwarzenegger, Mayor Lee, Edward Garcia, Kevin De Leon, who did a hell of a job in getting this bill passed. But let me just say about how the bill got here, because a few weeks ago, it did not look like it could happen. But it did happen. And that is, it's a little bit mystery. It's a lot of factors. Yes, it's leaders in the Assembly and the Senate. It's staff people in my office. It's people in industry. And they're here. Shall we mention them? People representing oil, agriculture, business, Chamber of Commerce, food processing, Foster Farms, Gallo Winery, the whole crowd. And so, plus we have environmentalists. This is a wide thing. Now some people say, oh my God, we don't like those people. Well, let's face it, this is California. Our industry, our wealth, our whole well-being is the product of all these different individuals and companies and organizations and cultural organizations and nonprofits, the whole thing. So it wasn't just one person. It was all these forces that exemplify California. And I want to say at that point, Governor Schwarzenegger was pretty amazing as a Republican in that Democratic legislature. We had Republicans all over the country. Only one signed into law a Global Solutions Act that had this cap and trade measure part of it. This is the only law in the United States. It's the only law that exists. It's right here. And that was, we had a Republican governor, a Democratic legislature, and in addition to that, he appointed Mary Nichols. Mary Nichols from the California Air Resources Board. So that's another miracle, because I appointed her when I was governor back in 1978. So that's another thing. Experience counts. Now, all you young people, I know how you feel. I used to be young. I didn't give a damn about experience. When I decided to run for governor, my father said, you can't do that. Run for attorney general first. I said, no way. I'm going for the top job now. Okay? Now, a little later in life, like 42 years later, I can tell you, experience is good. You know stuff. But Arnold, by putting in Mary Nichols, by signing this far-reaching bill, I mean, it's pretty incredible. And to be here 11 years later, to ratchet it into another 11 years, this is pretty great. And I would say the fact that California can welcome an immigrant from Austria and make him governor, that's another miracle. So we're on the move because we're California. And let's face it, this is not This is not one of these ordinary legislative things. We're dealing with climate change. And next to the threat of nuclear danger, which is the other existential threat, nothing is more serious in the world than extinction. I just heard former Mayor Bloomberg say 3 days ago that climate change could turn Earth into something like Mars, a complete wasteland. Now, it may take a while, but once this stuff gets moving, you can't turn it back. There are tipping points where the Earth goes into irreversible change, and that change can mean extinction of the millions of species. And somewhere along the line, we get extinguished too. So the gravity of this topic is so great that it's hard to talk about it. People think you're a little wacky. I mean, come on, what are you, Cassandra? Is this the end of the world? If we don't do something about it, it is the end of the world as we know it. That's how serious it is. Now, having said that, you got to take it in steps. You can't just say overnight, okay, we're not going to have oil anymore. We're not going to have fossil fuel cars. We're not going to have this. We're not going to have that. We need an intelligent, planned transition that will take time. And it takes money, and it takes science and technology and investment and a politics that has vision and consistency and perseverance. And all that is represented by this gathering today. This is very important. This is not about a politician. Let's face it, I'm sorry I'm thinking so much about years. 11 years from now, 11 years, when this thing expires in 2030, I don't want to tell you how old I'll be, but I'll be in my 90s, if I'm around, which who knows. So this is not about me. It's not about Arnold. It's not about these younger legislators over here. It's about the world. And California is leading that world in dealing with a principal existential threat that humanity faces. I mean, what could be a more glorious undertaking than the one that we're now embarked upon, and even in the second stage? So yes, California, we're on the move. We got plenty of warts, plenty of problems, plenty of poverty, crime, craziness, all the rest. But we have what it takes in our generous welcoming of the immigrant, of our embrace of science and technology and innovation, and our willingness to get down to business and do stuff, and do it decisively. And other people will follow. China is copying this cap and trade plan. Quebec has already joined. Ontario is coming in. Washington and Oregon, and I believe other states on the East Coast will follow. And then other states and nations of the world. We are a nation state in a globalizing world, and we're having an impact, and you're here witnessing one of the key milestones in turning around this carbonized world into a decarbonized, sustainable future. So with that, I just say thank you very much, and let's get the bill signed.